And here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen of Twitch chat, Legion TD2 aficionados, here comes your April Nova Cup Grand Final. We have the Updogs on the left, that is Drachir and FC Lucy, and they are facing off against none other than Abrasiert on the right, that is Widderson and Kingdanzz. Game number 1, let's go.
I mean, I just saw Lucy's tagline. It's a new one.
What is it? I missed that one. You're going to have to tell us, Ofma.
Accept donations for Drax chiropractor expenses.
Very nice, very nice.
Hey, Castle, okay.
Okay, interesting mix there. We have two players on the cartel, Drachir and Kingdanzz, opting for that early game advantage, and Lucy actually going for the castle, so maybe thinking Drachir's going to secure the early game and Lucy's going to secure the late game.
I mean, the Lizard Army is in the game, but Sack being in the game is such a powerful defensive option. I think it's certainly possible to get through the early game. Especially with her role is decent. Adam's start does suffer from not being able to go 5 workers. You're a few gold short, but you could go Adam's Steed start. Yeah,
then she can go 5 workers. Okay, nice. Yeah. Nicely done there, Lucy. The one thing that I don't really like about that is that her only tier 1 now is that Atom, and when she really wants the late game power of the Steeds funneling mana into her Hades, you know, the Atoms are still going to be there, siphoning away the mana a little bit.
Yeah, for sure that's something we have to look out for. Drachir going for, looks like Grawl Packrat, 3 workers, and then you get the Fire Lord. It's a pretty strong opener, just because the Packrat helps you make up for, because normally you'd be 4 workers, so 3 workers Packrat is probably a bit stronger, and gets you a little closer to that 5 worker starts that everyone else has.
And Widderson with a Nightmare, Gargoyle, Mudman, Polywog roll. He's looking really strong for basically the entire early game. And then for the late game, he has that Priestess as well. And eggs.
It looks like a pretty classic Widder roll with Nightmare. Just prioritizing tanks, and then he's got his favorite egg. I mean, Kingdanzz also has an egg. So we might see some classic overbuilding in the mid-game.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Kingdanzz has a pretty decent role as well, right? He's got those anglers with the lifesteal, even with the white mane potential. His role is very top-heavy, though, very natural impact heavy as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think he'll be hoping that his reroll gives him some new options once he gets an angler or 2 down.
Yeah.
And perhaps ditching the cat for something a little stronger as well. Or he can even lose the butcher or the antler, one of those 2.
He did try to test Drachir here with the snail on wave 2, but Drachir, of course, adding that looter in the split, he's going to be just fine, and Lucy receiving a king upgrade as well, so not much pressure onto the side of the Updogs here.
Yeah, they should be chilling. The thing about Drachir, obviously, he can't push. Doesn't change too much, besides gives him 6 gold, so he'll be okay with it. But King is not going to be, like, in despair that he's feeding his opponent or anything like that.
No. There is another snail coming out, though, from King, so, I mean, you talk about not feeding, he's doing his best, it seems.
Yeah, just trying to get as much income as he can, I think.
Yep.
And Drachir will now have the freedom to push quite heavily. He has the casket for 7, which is usually Firelord's first consideration, so I imagine he has a pretty strong game plan set. And then he has the Disciple for 10, the Mudman for first 4 tank. And Magician will be insane value for him this game. So I really like the way his role is shaping up.
Yeah, definitely. This is really nice split aggro here in Widderson's lane, by the way, receiving the 60 send, those 2 units perfectly sharing the damage, it seems, and that might even give him a hold. Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, honestly, incredible how well that Nightmare tanked.
Anything less than perfect aggro there, and Widderson was going to leak. Like, not big, but he would have leaked. And now he has 7 workers, he's sending income into Lucy, but this thing here is looking pretty dangerous. This Dino that's about to wander into Kingdanz's lane. Like, sure, King is on 410 value, but the Dino pretty much counters everything in his lane. Lucy does not get a snail to join it. Dino will go straight left, though, I think. Straight into that Crusher, straight into that Bounty Hunter, and it's going to take a long time for him to get through that.
think it's gonna just come down to his split tanking afterwards.
Yeah.
If he has decent split between his bounty, his cat after, it's okay. But it looks like his cat is just feeding.
Yeah, cat's going down. It seems.
But the bounty is
doing well.
Pretty healthy.
There's 6 creeps alive. Yeah, this is actually going really well for him. Kind of unfortunate, actually, that Lucy couldn't afford that snail. Might have made a difference.
Yeah, for sure, if one of his units had gotten stuck there. So he actually just easy holds that. We were worried, but turns out just enough
Kingdanzz
value.
knows his stuff, right? There's a reason he's the king. Yeah. Now, Drachir with that Firelord casket is looking really solid, actually, for probably his first worry wave is wave 9, and then for that he has either King Claw or Mudman options. He's looking pretty good.
And Drachir's actually, like, skipped 5 on Witter, so maybe thinking already about 7? I'm not sure what exactly his plan is with the skip. Oh, maybe just sending 6 after seeing that.
Yeah, the harden there from Widderson. And I quite like to do this, actually, skipping that wave 5 on a Nightmare player when you don't know what their role is. Because if you send like 100 and they do something like this hardened Mudman or a Butcher and then just hold your send, then you've kind of missed your shot. But if you send just like a Drake on 6, for example, which is what I expect Drachir to send, it can quite often leak those builds that do really well on 5. And actually, he's saying no to the Drake. I want to send
Double
friends.
Wow. And what can Twitter build? 140 golds, a Devilfish, and a Garg, I guess?
Yeah, I mean...
It's good against the Brutes, no doubt. But he's 140 under, which is tough times. And I mean, Drachir is also 160 under, but you know, he has a Firelord here, so
yeah, Drachir's
taking advantage of his rats.
Here. But Widderson and Kingdanzz, they're kind of accepting the leak here, it seems like. They did both save their Mythium, and with what's going to almost certainly be a long wave 6 here, they're going to have a ton of Mythium to send on wave 7 or 8 when they want to counterattack.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a strong counterpunch whenever they go for it. And Witter's sniping one of the Brutes, it looks like. I think he'll be able to get that,
hard.
but
I don't think he kills
nothing
anything else apart from
yeah.
that Brute. That's an 80% leak there for Widderson. And Kingdanzz, he's not doing much better, it seems. He won't kill that last Rocco. 63% there for King, 80% for Widderson. This is first blood going to the side of the Updogs, and this is a lot of damage.
Yeah, and they don't even get that hard of a push, and they just instantly go for the counterattack. No extra, no overcomplicating it. We see Firelord, it's still weak on 7.
This is a lot of gold, though, going over to Drachir and Lucy. It's really going to help them to be able to
upgrade. And yeah, even a Disciple, too, I mean...
what do you think about the Disciple? I might be tempted to just sell a rat and add like another Cursed Casket, because like this, he's just shifting 29 gold for fun, you know?
Yeah,
I think the 230 gold would have been much better spent on a second casket.
Could go for that. I think he's just worried about overcommitting for this wave. Just because if he builds another casket, then that's a lot of arcanes invested when 9 and 10 are looking not the best for him. So I don't mind him just going, because he's overvalued, so he doesn't need to be perfect here.
Oh, his split tanking is perfect. Look at this Firelord.
More cast?
Oh, he gets another cast off as well. I mean, Drachir, to be fair, he's plus 25 value, and as we all know, value is strong.
He's easy holding.
He's just holding, yeah. Lucy leaks 76% though, but Kingdanzz 69 to the Brute Snail Resend, and Widderson, he's not holding either. Only 34% there, but this is a 1 trade for the Updogs.
Yeah, I mean, King and Witter have the push. There's no doubt about that. They got more workers, but their King is not doing so good, and Drachir is going to be in such a good spot.
Talk about fast and aggressive, by the way. The Updogs have brought Abrasiert down to 38% King HP already on wave 7. These guys seem to be on fire.
Yeah, and Lucy is playing Castle. Let's not forget, she's in an insane spot. Like, maybe didn't hold that 7 so good, but her income looks comparable to the Greed player. Not so far behind the Cartel players. Okay. She's, like, the same workers as Drachir. I mean, I feel like her spot is honestly incredible.
Lucy is absolutely in a carry position in this game. Like, even if the game goes past wave 11, which I'm not 100% sure of, by the way, with Abrasiert down to 38%, but assuming it does, Lucy's going to be in such a good spot to carry in the late game.
Yeah. and let's not like pretend like Drachir is gonna fall off either with his role.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, there's still some hope. King is in a pretty good spot. Gonna get his Kingpin power spike soon. Um, and this income stun definitely cuts some of the pressure off. It looks like both teams realize they do need some regen.
Yeah.
So trying not to be vulnerable to those one hits. And we saw how much it paid off for Drachir and Lucy to do regens last game, so maybe it can work out for King and Widder the same. They're actually going to go for a little try-hard send here. It's going to be a resend onto Drachir. We'll see if he's ready for it. I mean, he has gold enough to build
Oh, gate.
gates.
The
Wow.
perfect unit to drop for wave 9. Like, he's getting, what, 2 brutes? Does Widderson? Yeah, Widderson does get 2 brutes. But I think with Drachir's value, with the Fire Lord, with the gate, he's going to be fine. He's even hunting his rat here. He really is not scared.
Yeah, I mean, he sees the plus sign and just isn't worried, especially since he got a send last. And
Yeah.
Lucy has the wrong read, it looks like. Prepping a little for 10,
Yeah,
but
she's even shifting 55 gold as well, so definitely the
yeah,
wrong read here.
it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's going to hurt. Lucy's going to leak pretty badly here, so
It is the Lucy aggro.
that fantastic early game that we were talking about, this seems to be the first misstep for Lucy's game so far. She will leak pretty badly here, I think. So let's see whether or not Drachir is able to cover here. And it looks like with the addition of that gate, he's not just holding, he's easily holding with a ton of value left alive for the mid.
Just barely couldn't finish off the mole.
That's unlucky, Lucy.
Just a little more value added for this wave, and she might be able to not be so sad about that. But Drachir will at least cover most of this.
Yeah.
And it's not like their spot is any worse because they saved. So let's see what they choose to do with their send. I mean, they really could go here, but they can also go for 11 as well with Lizard Army. I think either option is perfectly fine. Or they can just go something like straight 13.
Yeah. I mean, I think something like an 11 into 13 with Lizard Army could be a good send pattern, because they'll have a 400 Mythium send on wave 11 already, by the way, with the Lizard Army. So they might just win there, and then if not, they're going to have another 400, 500 on wave 13 again already for that 1-2 punch.
Yeah, that's for sure a possible line, especially with Lizard Army. Just one of the more dangerous spells and something you need to watch out for. Because it's easy to miss the first Lizard.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, they are going for the wave 11 send, it seems. The double 4 eyes coming out. Just some tanks as well there. Snails from Lucy,
Wow.
Dino from
Okay.
Drachir.
With Zac, Widder can actually just get an Aziria if he just deletes his doppel.
Ah, that's pretty good, actually, if they read this send here. We'll have to see
They're
what
going
happens.
for a Tryhard Son of their own, or at least King is, since he actually had 200.
Yep.
But, or Widder had 200 too, just didn't feel like trying.
Widderson went
And
for
yeah, it is going to be the
Kingdanzz
doppel
send.
sack into the Aziria. Like,
Oh, really nice. Really nice.
and same here, sacked a cat for Aziria, so
Very
I mean,
good
that's a
presence of
surprise.
mind there. Very good presence of mind from both Kingdanzz and Widderson, knowing that the spells are in their favour, and this might actually change things. It feels like the Updogs are way ahead, but if these Aziria are able to hold this massive wave 11 send, maybe things are going to turn around.
And Widder has enough to get a golem, or what's going on here? 2 more
He's
mudmen.
going to have 5 hardened mudmen. That's a lot of mudmen.
It's a lot better than the golem against 4-eye too. That's something to note. So we'll see if these Azirias can stay alive. I think King has a better shot just because he also has a Kingpin getting involved. But so far, both
This
Azirias are
just looks
tanking
pretty
exceptionally.
perfect for Kingdanzz. Yeah, King and Widderson, both of their Azirias tanked nicely there. It looks like King will
Not enough value,
lead.
maybe.
But Widderson, though,
If he gets onto the
he's doing
4-eye,
well.
he'll be okay.
The thing attacking the
But
creeps
everyone leaking actually.
there. Lucy
So
and Drachir leaking as well, but they have a much healthier King with just 40% HP remaining. Are Abrasiert out of this game number 1?
it's gonna be close. I mean, double 4-eye is quite a bit of damage to the King, and they don't have enough attack. I think.
They're
Yeah, wow.
dead.
That's
Wow.
crazy. I mean, they had perfect play, perfect counterplay, and still just wasn't quite enough.
Man, that was crazy, right? Like, what a fast game there by the Updogs. This was so back and forward, like
I
a
mean,
roller coaster
yeah.
on the win probability graph, but really it feels like they were in the lead all
We
the way
joked
from this
about
wave
this
6.
joked about the game ending before castle could kick in, but it really did.
Yeah.
Lucy got one wave of castle income, and that's all they needed, really. I mean, the early game was so nice. She had so much pressure on King, even while playing castle, so that's pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the end for Abrasiert was this wave 6, the 140 send against Widderson leaking 80, the 100 against King leaking 63, and they just lost 40% King HP from there, and already from wave 6 they're playing on the back foot, right, which is not where you want to be.
Yeah.
That gold then allowed Drachir to hold his wave 7 send, cover all of Lucy's leaks as well, and then, yeah, sure, Lucy's leaking wave 9, but they have so much more Mythium there for wave 11, sending 520 into Widderson, who just barely leaks, 480 into Kingdanzz, who leaks a little bit more, and yeah, man, game number 1 going to the Updogs in style there, Ofma.
Yeah, like a quick knockout, really. Just
Yeah.
finishing that one on 11. I mean, Kira getting the most out of his cartel then for that game. For sure. I mean, the extra gold in the early game let him get to those important breakpoints. Like, he barely got his gate out while pushing. He barely had, or he didn't barely, but imagine that leak wasn't quite as big. He can still barely get out, like, the Disciple plus the Casket upgrade. So, yeah, really, really nice game one from the Updogs. We'll see if Abrasiert can come back with something different this game. Because we'll see if, like, maybe some Legion spells are different. They'll swap up their masterminds or not. But they have plenty of options.
I mean, what do you think they have to do to come back into this one? Because that game, I mean, sure, it wasn't easy for the Updogs, but it also didn't feel like they were behind really at any point in the game. Like, again, that big wave 6 play, it just seemed like they were sealing the deal from that point.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, they just got caught, I guess, on an early game mistake. King thinking that he's gonna be able to hold the smaller send, but his units were just not good enough for that wave.
All right, well, let's see what Abrasiert have got to say for themselves, because here we go with game number 2.
Are we gonna see? Okay, I was wondering if we might see like some cheese with Lock-in Priestess or something. Because
there's that Fiesta pick for Lucy.
Oh, okay, finally. Let's see it. She doesn't have amazing stuff in her opener. Maybe just Oathbreaker or the Wild Shroom. But no free Fiesta opener.
No, she doesn't have that Consort, Windhawk, Pixies, you know. Oh, she has rerolled. I was going to say, yeah, I think that's a reroll on one Fiesta. Let's see, does she pick up one of those magic openers that can set her up for a fantastic Fiesta game?
I see some crazy potential in a lot of these rolls.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Antler gates or OT gates with strong early game like Kingpin or Angler and Gateguard, and we have the same for Drachir, Angler options, Priestess options, Consort Garg openers.
Kingdanzz has the Lifesteal, Shadow Dancer as well. And with
Dark
Divine
Mage
Blessing
even
as well. Oh, with Dark Mage, yeah, that's Kingdanzz has a fantastic
and that looks like
role.
what he's going for. And Widder also opting into that early game with Gateguard Angler into OT Gates as his late game.
And Lucy does go with the Oathbreaker, so she did not find anything better in her reroll, unfortunately for her. And the double Gateguard opener, that's an interesting one for Kingdanzz and Widderson. But yeah, the Angler edition does make Widderson's build stand out a little.
Yeah, so far the best Divine user is definitely going to be King with the DK. But it's not like Kingpin is that bad with it. It's still an insanely statted unit.
Yeah. I'm really surprised, actually, because Drachir did have Priestess in his opening role, but chose not to pick it. Priestess, of course, probably the best possible unit to pair with that Divine Blessing spell. So really kind of curious as to why he didn't pick that unit there.
Yeah, I'll say that his role looks a lot better if I knew that Divine wasn't in the game. So perhaps just valuing the overall role. I think this role has a little better and looks a little bit better in the early game. And the LOD might be something that Drachir just prefers to top off this role rather than the Priestess.
And Widderson sending a king up here into Drachir's Green Devil, like, he always seems to do this on Widderson, and I really want to know why, because it just gives the Green Devil player such an easy push. He can go 7 workers here if he wants to on Drachir.
Yeah, for sure it's something that Drachir will take advantage. Not sure he'll go 7 just because his mate is Fiesta.
Yeah, he stays on 6.
And there's something to be worried about there. And he's going to get out the Angler here. Hopefully it'll collect enough stacks.
He may be getting some stacks from Lucy here, because Kingdanzz is going to send 3 snails, and Lucy, of course, with those 6 workers, 215 value, probably going to go for a little bit of a leak.
Yeah, it looks like King is thinking about sending this last snail or not, and he just might... Yeah, he holds on to it.
Okay. So we'll have to see how Lucy does against these 2 snails. It might actually end up being a really nice fiesta for her.
Yeah, that could be juicy. I mean, her Aqua isn't like over-tanking, and the Oath is definitely over-tanking, so
yeah,
might still be able to get a leak here. Yeah, it looks like a small leak. If she can get... Yeah, she got 2 with the last Aqua cast.
That's pretty fine. 40% there. It would have been much bigger, actually, with that 3rd snail, so Kingdanzz maybe kicking himself for holding his Mythium there. That probably would have turned a 40% leak into like a 70, maybe even 80, just because of the way that the AoE units worked.
Yeah, it's a tough scenario because you can't know that Lucy's Fiesta yet.
Yeah. Now he probably does.
It could... Yeah.
And there is a full snail
More
resend coming
Aquas?
out from King. Yeah. I mean, 4 Aquas, Lucy. Pennywise is unsure about Aqua Spirit.
Yeah. I mean, it's better here, and she's right that she's getting a big send here, so...
It's pretty bad on 5 and 6, though.
Yeah,
so...
that's my worry. Like, I feel like perhaps Welshroom, if you want to hedge your bets more towards those ways, but...
Kingdanzz just got the 4th snail there at the last second as well. I think this might end up being pretty bad for Lucy. We'll have to see how overpowered these Aquas are.
All those Aqua buffs are definitely going to help her out. I mean, it's
they're shredding the wave. Yeah, the snails are going to make it through, but a lot of the chickens going down there under the Aqua's onslaught. Meanwhile, Drachir, how is he doing against an 80 send of his own? Yeah, really nice there. He is holding, but...
Maybe not the full cover,
He's not going to cover, yeah.
I think that I'll be okay with that. It's just baby King damage, right?
Yeah, very minimal King damage, actually.
Lucy is the most pushed, and they are going for some brutes here.
Brutes on 5. Interesting to point out that Drachir's Angler only on 38 mana. Oh, but yeah, that Harbinger from Kingdanzz just barely getting enough gold here from those leaks on the side of Lucy. Means he doesn't need to resend on wave 5. He can hold his Mythium and still afford that Harbinger.
I'm unsure about what's happening. I think Widder might be the victim in all this. Just because he has no real damage. The Coiler is a lot weaker on 5 than 4. But if King still has his Harb up, he will cover quite easily.
This
and
is
he's
really
sniping
nice
the Brute like first unit
for King.
or something.
Yeah, the Aqua perfectly tanking the boss, +1 Scorpion. The Harbinger does get his 2nd summon out. That just looks like a hold for King. Maybe like a Brute only leak, but no, I think that's just a full hold.
Nah, the Doggo is so strong, but yeah, we see this. The problem here is there's no Harbinger, right? We haven't invested into the bounty, so have to take that leak, but
53%
at least King is there
for Widderson, but Kingdanzz now with his 9 workers, and because he was able to save his Mythium here, he now has 100 Mythium, so quite a decent amount of pressure against Lucy. He does go for the Cannoneer send here on wave 6, where Lucy's looking pretty weak, actually.
Yeah, the range Brute, it's pretty deadly. And we'll see what Drachir's answer. It's going to be a Sea Dragon, which is perfect for the Dino Sun. The rest of his gold isn't perfect, but... Could be okay.
69 gold is nice, but not very useful to spend. I mean, is he even going to spend it, or does he want to shift some gold here, thinking maybe it's a wave 7 send? Lucy does get the canopy out, so when I said that she was weak, that was before I saw the canopy. Now she's looking okay, but a lot of it's going to come down to whether this canopy tanks too much.
Yeah, now she has a solid answer at least. I mean, the range Brute, if the Ashen ever gets onto the canopy, then there's some trouble there, but... Yeah. Looks like she'll be leaking small, maybe just the Cannoneer and a creep or so.
Well, the canopy is going down, but not before it clears up nearly all of the Roccos, and yeah. Meanwhile, Drachir, it looks like he's doing very well. Isn't that just a full hold from Drachir? It looks like yes. Oh no! So Lucy leaking the Rocco and the Cannoneer with a sliver of HP. That was
just
so
one more Aqua
close.
bump, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she can kill the Cannoneer and pro leak the... It's very close with Aqua RNG. Like she has enough Aquas where
Yeah.
really one bounce there, one bounce here, like could have been the difference. They're actually gonna go for the 7 income send. I thought they might look
24
8,
damage on
but
the Aqua, and there was 29 HP on the Cannoneer.
ooh,
I think with the piercing to Swift,
yeah,
one more shot
maybe.
would have killed that Cannoneer. That would have been amazing for Lucy.
Yeah, that could have been the difference, honestly. I mean, the Cannoneer is worth like what 30 gold, so it definitely stings a little bit.
Yeah. Now we have some pretty big sends coming out here on 7, 140 and 160 into Kingdanzz and Widderson. Widderson with 800 value though, I think he's going to be very fine. Let's have a look at Kingdanzz. He's a bit lower there with 700 value. He did get the Azora, which tanked the Cannoneer perfectly. The Harbinger does get the second summon off, and I think this is just going to be a repeat of Wave 5. Yeah, looks like an easy hold there for the King. Maybe
I'm
a
surprised.
But
I'm
yeah,
surprised, to be honest, that Drachir just sent here, like, income. I thought he was just gonna go for the 8 cent, especially after 6, but maybe favoring scaling his own build a little bit more than...
Look at this.
Ooh,
There's a mole
that's...
entering Lucy's lane here, and she's building for Wave 9. So she makes this Soul Gate here on Wave 8, which is
that's
really bad on Wave 8. Really bad on Wave 8. So not quite reading it properly. But then, what were her options, really? With 260 gold, she could upgrade a couple of Aquas, she could build an Elite Archer, but the unupgraded version is just not quite the powerhouse it needs to be on Wave 8 against a Mole Send. I think this is going to be a
problem
pretty
here
bad
is just...
league.
Yeah, King is just 15 workers, so this is a one-wave skip into a 200
send. Yeah, Kingdanzz is... he's having a bit of a game, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. That's why I was worried about that 7 income resend. Looks like Drachir needed it to get his Kingpin smoothly, but it really just...
92% there from Lucy. Like, the silver lining in the cloud is that she is playing Fiesta, but that's a really bad Fiesta league.
Yeah, and now what do they look for to target? Because Widder has no problems until 10 maybe, but he's going to have Kingpin and a Deep Coiler along with some other values, so I'm not even too worried.
Just want, like, Wave 11 straight, but then for Wave 11 there's Divine Blessing available, there's Savior if you just want some gold. Like, yeah, I mean, Jules for some reason is actually giving the slight edge to the Updogs, but for me it feels like Kingdanzz and Widderson are ahead in this game.
Yeah, I think maybe Jules just seeing the Mythium, and I mean, if that Mythium converts to an advantage, then yeah, I mean, it could be good. I mean, there's double Harb and a Bunk, so maybe over-investing into this Wave 9 where there's going to be no send. And now I think 10 is the logical choice.
Yeah, I think it has to be Wave 10 really for the Updogs. Kingdanzz did go for another income Dino resend. Lucy will be able to hold this, so that's a bit of a blessing in disguise. You know, it's released some of that pressure that Kingdanzz had against FC Lucy. And here we have the counterpunch. There's a Ghost Knight from Drachir. There's an Ogre and a Brute from FC Lucy. Kingdanzz is going for damage here, though. He replies with a Mole in kind.
He might be... Can he just sell this for Haven or something like that? Oh, that works too. Arctair, sure.
Yeah, no, Arctair's pretty good. But he's otherwise
not the GK killer.
Pretty bad on this wave, honestly. Like, he just doesn't really have damage here. And yeah, the GK is going to be very difficult for Kingdanzz to deal with.
I will say Widder has a 137 stack Kingpin.
Yeah, he does. He also has 2 Harbingers, which are both very bad on Wave 10. His one saving grace, other than the Kingpin, is of course this Deep Coiler, which is an absolute beast on Wave 10.
Yeah, I mean...
One Harbinger goes down immediately, so does the second one.
Focused on
there will be no summons coming out today from those.
My god, but look at... He is killing this boss fast.
Yeah,
it's
really
kind of a race here,
he's got
but
insane DPS.
he's going to still leak, I think.
Kingdanzz has been able to get through that GK, but he will not be able to kill the boss. That's 53% on Widderson. Lucy, meanwhile, leaking to the Mole resend. 41% on Danz, and 41% on Drachir to the full income send as well, by the way. Okay.
Waldo?
Waldo for sure.
Only a small leak for sure, but it's still going to net them a little bit of king damage, which could make all the difference, really.
I mean, Small leak, yeah, and they have got the king HP advantage now by about 20%, but it feels like that trade was almost favourable for the side of Abrasiert, right? Because it was an income send against Drachir, which got a leak, and it was full try-hard, like, power mercenaries against Kingdanzz and Widderson. Sure, they got the leaks, but it wasn't that much bigger, like, considering that it was a much higher Mythium send with power mercenaries. So now they've got a pretty nice income lead, at least against Drachir. Lucy, of course, the Fiesta player, as expected, has a bit more income just because of how the mastermind works. But yeah, like, Abrasiert, if you look at this, Kingdanzz is on fire.
Yeah, he's definitely taken a pretty big step forward. 19 workers. I mean, they look to be in a good spot, and Lucy actually going for a savior, not valuing blessing on any of her units, so...
I can see it. Like, Lucy really doesn't have a divine blessing carry unit, so to speak. Like, her carry is this gate, of course, but... I mean, Divine Blessing doesn't even work on Gate, so you can't even think about that. She could maybe have put it on the Archer, but yeah, I think she just valued the King HP and a little bit of gold more than that, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what the plans are with this blessing. I would imagine people are aiming to skip 13. Okay, Widderson found a priestess in his reroll. A little awkward with the coilers, but can probably still make it work.
Yeah.
And I would
I mean,
imagine
if you look at Widderson's build, right, like his first real weak wave is 15, and then, I mean, he's looking pretty bad on 16, actually, where the priestess doesn't help very much. But yeah, he's definitely happy to pick up that Azeria for wave 15 hold potential.
Yeah, I would imagine Drachir wants to skip 13. He has enough to get Hades with Divine Blessing.
Yeah.
And then for 14, he'll have OT even. So he looks to be in a decent shape.
Both Drachir and Widderson shifting a large amount of gold here on wave 12. So again, correctly reading the game. There are no sends here. And do you know what? I really don't like this. I really don't like the Lord of Death with Divine Blessing because... I mean, sure, the attack speed helps a little, and maybe you get some more last hits to pump up that Thanatos mana, but the HP is almost entirely wasted on your Hades, right? Because if the wave ever reaches the Hades, well, you're already leaking, and 2,000 extra HP on that squishy unit.
King. I'm very surprised by this, because I look at their values and I think, like, did they have to Income King? I mean, Drachir has perfect goal for the OT plus Hades, but did he... I just feel like they didn't need...
He's even hardening here. Like, they're feeling the pressure, but... Oh, pardon my ping there. Kingdanzz and Widderson, they're not pulling the trigger here. And with this income send against them, they're just going to be able to push workers to the moon and really control the pace of the game because they can just send whenever they want now.
Yeah, I mean, one argument could be that, like, you can't really leak Drachir for a while, so it's not the worst thing to send, but... I mean, if you give them enough Mythium, sure, like 15 looks good, but like you send enough Mythium, and I think that even this Hades could leak there.
Oh, the other thing that we didn't talk about with Widderson's Azeria reroll, again, the perfect Divine Blessing unit.
Yeah.
So he pops it out there, puts his blessing on it. That's a much better target for the blessing than a Kingpin is.
So Drachir and Lucy just favored going double Income King, expecting 14. Didn't think that they could leak them because of the blessing, I guess. So we'll see how they do. We have one hardened OT goal.
3 white main buffed canopies and a Trinity Archer, and Drachir has Ocean Templar Circle with hardened Golem.
This double 4-eye doesn't do that good against... It's very good against the healing, for sure, but if Drachir is able to get some more like Green Devils or something like that out, it's a lot more efficient against that.
Or even small stuff like a hardened Mudman, right? It's very effective against a 4-eye.
Oh, and an Ogre. Okay, so the Ogre is definitely going to help out here against the Golem.
I mean, the sends are massive. Like, the sends are absolutely massive, but both Drachir and Lucy are on 3k value here on wave 14. Like, I think they're feeling pretty good about this. We'll have to see. I think for sure that Drachir's going to lose his blessing, though, if nothing else.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, you can see he has just no damage besides a Kingpin and this Hades on 14, which just... You know, it's magic damage on an Arcane Wave, but they look like they're doing okay.
72% there, 114 from Drachir. Of course, the double 4-eyes really pumping those numbers up, and even with their nearly fully upgraded King, they're going to take a lot of damage here. Oh, and yeah, Ofma, you're pointing out the workers on Kingdanzz and Widderson. It looks like they're pushing really hard. I guess they want to go for like a wave 16 end to this.
Drachir is just chilling.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now he's pushing. But now, like, you could...
Okay.
I'm sure they're looking at their values. They're like, something's up here.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Everybody's looking pretty undervalued. Kingdanzz is minus 400. Widderson's looking the best at only about minus 250 when he finishes spending. But this could be a very scary wave 16. We might see the game ending there. Kingdanzz and Widderson are both on fire now.
I feel like I have to give the edge to King and Widder still, because they still have their blessings. Like,
Yeah.
They can afford to play this undervalue, whereas Drach and Lucy are their strength in their build is only what you see is what you get.
And I mean, I think Kingdanzz can just really easily hold a wave 16 send. He has 2 Arc Tears, fantastic tanks for wave 16. He has that lifesteal DK with the blessing as well, by the way. It just means he's going to pop out infinite clones there, which can just, you know, it can just really pop off and smurf and hold wave 16 like no other.
Man, I feel like the only way they don't hold 60 is they skip for fun,
Yeah,
but they're
which
gonna
don't.
send. So, and you can see Drachir already like
Struggling.
pretty good
with
on this wave
15,
and struggling. Just the value just isn't there for him, and he's actually just pushing to lead King here and hoping that. Oh, they went for like a double hard push and just hope
Drachir's even
they
selling
skipped, I think.
units, by the way. He really wants to leak Kingdanzz here. I assume
Yeah,
he
I think
hardens there.
they're committed to trying to kill them if they skip, but Witter is going full
Widderson's
King
correctly
spell. What a
reading the
good read.
suicide, by the way. He's upgrading King rather than full sending into Drachir's suicide. That's a very nice read there from Widderson. Very nice read.
Yeah, it looks like that read is going to pay off, and basically the only way they lose is sending. Not sending here, and they already did that part, so...
But I think as well, like, Lucy's really bad here. She has 1 Elite Archer, and that's her only good unit on this Wave 16.
Yeah, the gates are definitely getting destroyed by these witches and imps, so I think there's just not enough value to hold on here.
Drachir,
Really
of course,
counting on
leaking
that.
immediately there, 159% from him. And Lucy, I mean, she's leaking very soon after. Meanwhile, Widderson and Kingdanzz, I mean, they're just holding, right? With this Divine Blessing Lifesteal Dreadnought, it just seems invincible. Sure, Widderson leaks there, but Kingdanzz, he's just holding. And meanwhile, these creeps are about to say hello to the king of Drachir and FC Lucy. It looks like Team Abrasiert have brought the series to a tie.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice game from both of them. King especially had a really nice push in the early game, just got his Harbinger, held the big send, and just kind of snowballed from there. I mean, getting incomed on 7 was really nice for him. Dodges his weak wave, which is 8, and like even though they got this big 10 send, they did completely fine.
Yeah. They did very fine on wave 10. Like we were talking about, they did take a little bit more king damage, but the fact that they're much smaller and the income sends as well were able to get pretty much an equivalent leak against Lucy and Drachir. It put Kingdanzz and Widderson in a really nice spot moving into the mid game.
Yeah, I feel like this income king on 13 was just a little bit of a misread.
That was an uncharacteristic mistake there from the Updogs, it feels like, because I mean they're both on really good value for 13 with good units as well, right? Like I'm not quite sure why they felt the need to send Income King here on 13, and it really just gave Kingdanzz and Widderson a free push so they can send massive amounts of Mythium on 14, and then from there the game is all but over, really.
Yeah, I mean, like, they just pushed insanely hard after that, and there's no counter.
Yeah.
Like from there.
Wow, what a series!
Yeah, they went for a risk. I mean, Drachir and Lucy had, like, honestly, like that play could have worked if King and Widder just messed up.
They needed them to skip, right? But Kingdanzz and Widderson had the same idea. So, in fact, Kingdanzz and Widderson, I think, had pushed before they did. So they were already committed to it before Lucy and Drachir decided to go for the same game plan. And yeah, like the only way that Drachir and Lucy, I think, win from that point after wave 14 is if Kingdanzz and Widderson decide to skip 16. But no, these guys, they're too good to make a mistake like that. And as a result, it's 1-1 as we move into game number 3.
Yeah, and we're gonna see. I mean, now they can see that Lucy was Fiesta. I don't know if they completely figured it out. I would assume they were able to put it together after those leaks on 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But we'll see if, like, I would assume Lucy does not want to play it again because
that was Kingdanzz on Cartel, right?
Yeah, I think that they stuck with the same thing as first. So Cartel on King and Greed on Widder. So
Yep.
Honestly, I could see them swap it up, Widder taking over the cartel role and King playing, well, whatever he wants to play, I guess. Whether
Yeah.
it's like Chaos, Greed.
I think Kingdanzz might try and hold on to his Chaos pick until he sees some favourable spells. So, like,
Yeah.
if he can maybe hold on to that one until last, and then if there's a pawn shop game or something like that, Kingdanzz is going to snap pick that Chaos Trust. But guys, game number 3, we're tied 1-1 currently. Let's see which team can take a lead as we go into game number 3. And there is Kingdanzz Chaos. Okay, so ignore what I said completely. He just goes for it here in game number 3. No pawn shop to be seen.
Yeah, and so that goes for the Chaos Castle. I mean, we talked with King before about when they pick this combination, it's just because the Legion spells. If there's nothing aggressive and it's all like either buffs or econ stuff, they'll just play the weaker like early game options because there's no way to get punished in that mid game instantly.
Oh, Widderson going for the Castle Sakura, by the way. We saw him have an absolutely insane game of Castle Sakura yesterday against the Bulgarian squatters. Though it has to be said, Itzo was sending a lot of Mythium there, like giving him a bit of an easy game. We'll have to see whether Drachir and Lucy can maybe make it a bit more difficult for him here. But Lucy's opening Sakura as well. And if you're a Sakura player, you love to see the enemy player sending into you is also Sakura because you just have a very comfortable early game because of that low worker push.
Yeah, something to note also last game that King and Widder swapped the sending order, and they're keeping it again this game. So not sure if Drachir and Lucy just don't care or they just don't think it mattered, but just something to note that they actually did swap it.
Yeah.
So some Sakura on Sakura crime this game, looks like.
Some hot Sakura action, it seems, yeah. But I think Widderson is coming out ahead on this one, though. Although, to be fair, Drachir is cash out Bone Crusher, also receiving from Sakura. So yeah, there is the 6th worker push, as expected. He's going to have a pretty nice game as well. That's the real downside to Sakura, right? Because it can be an early game monstrosity, but it really depends what you're sending into. Because something like a Bone Crusher is going to have a really free game because of that low worker push into him.
Yeah, I even saw Drachir like doing the math or doing the position where he like figures out where his Aqua is and then, puts the Bony for his Fire Archer as well, so that he can hold 3 easily as well. Okay, Lucy getting king upped, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, Kingdanzz just wanting to snowball. He did it pretty well last game. I'm sure he can do it again.
Yeah, I mean, camping Sakura is completely fine. I mean, it's just such a safe opener.
Yeah.
You gotta prioritize yourself, and they'll see the 6 workers from Drachir now. Probably gonna dissuade King from even thinking about going 6 workers, so...
This is a really long wave, actually, from Drachir.
Oh, wow, he actually gets Fiend.
He's going to be able to send a snail as well if he wants to. Let's have a look at Kingdanz's build. Oh, he even has the gargoyle, though. Very skillful chaos roll there from the king.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to go for Gargs or just this Infiltrator in a PvE.
Okay.
So, let's see. I mean, if it's Fiend Snail, I think both go left here with this Infiltrator positioning. Right. And might be pretty good with the Infiltrator right onto that... the Fiend right onto the Infiltrator.
Yeah, that Fiend can make short work of the Infiltrator, for sure. And then, assuming it lives as well, the little slimes, when they spawn, can never kill a Fiend. But he doesn't even add the snail. He's actually going to save it for next wave, I assume.
It'd be the same thing. Luckily, the Infiltrator can actually kill a Fiend compared to the Slime Mummy, so could be doing okay here.
A very long wave, though, from Kingdanzz.
Yeah, definitely gonna
Widderson
favor no one really, since they're all pretty high. They're all 6 workers now. Might help Widder get to his Dino.
Yeah, I mean the slimes just take forever to clear here.
I think he can't afford to push just because his units aren't that good, and Drachir was already 6 workers, so it's gonna be some big sense though. I think could be 100 for Drachir to deal with.
Yeah.
And he'll be fine though. He gets his Fire Aqua.
Yeah, Fire Aqua and the Fire Archer, insane units on wave 4, both of them. And this Fire Archer, I'm pretty sure, is low enough that it won't take any aggro from that Dino, which means it's just going to stay alive.
Yeah, it shouldn't, but we know how Legion can be a little fickle sometimes.
RNG in my video game? Never, good sir.
And yeah, King favoring to get out this Adam.
Alright, the Fire Archer does
wonder-
not tank the Dino. It does tank
Is this
4
Adam
chickens.
dead? I think this Adam might just die, or it's perfect split tanking, one or the other.
It looks pretty good. Does it?
Can it kill that
killing the
chicken?
Oh no, it just dies before the
I
chicken!
think that's gonna be a pretty big. It's gonna be a leak then,
I mean,
for sure.
the
Yeah.
slime blobs are going to struggle against the chickens, right? Meanwhile, Widderson, his Sakura drops to 200 HP, but I think the leak is small enough from Kingdanzz that Sakura can cover. I mean, I'm not sure.
Hopefully.
There's 5 creeps. But yeah, Drachir full holding the 100 send there with his Fire Elemental and Fire Archer. Make notes of this positioning, guys. Very, very clean hold there from Drachir. Oh, and the Sakura goes down! Kingdanzz Waldoing his teammate here on wave 4. One of those all-important Sakura stacks is lost here for Widderson.
That hurts a lot, for sure. And, I mean, it's gonna come back to bite them later, whenever Lucy decides to actually send the Sakura. Because that one stack can make a huge difference. I mean, it already does on 5, right? Losing one stack before 5 means you don't, was it like 2-shot the little ones?
Yeah, I think like with a seed and full stacks, it 2-shots. But without the stack, obviously it needs 3. There's no send here though, so the small difference there won't really be a problem for Widderson. But Lucy has a decent chunk of Mythium. She can pretty much decide to send whenever she wants now. Does she go for 6? Does she go for 7?
I think 7 looks pretty okay if they want to go that deep. I can also like totally understand Lucy just wanting to scale a bit, but I think going for a 7 punch together makes a lot of sense here. And Drachir is 10 workers, by the way, and getting another send from 7 worker castles. So
I mean, this is all about the Castle Sakura sending into a Bone Crusher opener, right? Sometimes you just win the lottery, and for Drachir, I mean, he's got to be feeling pretty good about himself today with this this send order massively favourable to the way he opened this game.
Yeah, he's just feasting this game. I mean, this resend he gets here, he can... I mean, it's a full send, right? So he knows he can push hard as well.
Yeah.
And he even has perfect Fire Archer aggro as well.
Wave 7 send, as you expected. Widderson's got options. You know, he's going to have a fully stacked... Oh, he actually shifted gold here. I missed that on Widderson.
Ooh.
Is he going to get the banana bunk out?
That can be big. Lucy already reading that... not going for like a mimic or anything, just going straight for those brutes, which is the best send versus the cat and the gate guard, to be fair, but also the best send against not knowing what...
Against a surprise banana bug, yeah, for sure.
And let's see how King does, because he is going to be basically on value, but his units aren't that inspiring here. It's going to be a Daphne.
Okay, I mean, it's good damage.
Yeah, good synergy with the Adam, to be fair. And yeah, recognizing he needs to protect his Adam here. Doesn't want a repeat of wave 4.
No, he's going to need
Imagine there was a... It's just a triple brute Drachir just Sui push, by the way.
Whoa,
he's 14 workers.
Lucy's getting 3 brutes as well, but Drachir's not receiving any send here. There's 180 Mythium for Lucy, 180 for Kingdanzz, and 200 for Widderson. I mean, sure, he gets that banana bunk, but it's still going to be a pretty bad leak on the side of the Witherman.
Yeah, and even though King is getting good value out of all his units, like, it was a 40 on 5?
Is the first to leak. Widderson soon after, 67. And Kingdanzz, he's doing really well. Like, you'd be happy with this hold normally, 56% against a 180. But with his teammate leaking as well, they're about to take a ton of King damage.
Yeah, that was a 40 on 5 into 180 on 7. Like, I feel like no reasonable person would expect that big of a send.
Yeah.
But Drachir just with a perfect read that he's not getting a resend here, because you got a full send on 6 from 7 workers. Like, he definitely knew that he could take advantage of this gap.
Yeah. He was even able to cover some of his teammates' leaks here, despite being 570 value on wave 7.
He's getting away with it again. Like, there's not going to be a send, so he's going to keep pushing. He needs to figure out where to put this Disciple, but...
Oh, he's correctly reading the skip here on wave 8. He's building that boar, which obviously pretty bad wave 8, but pretty good wave 9.
Yeah. Would be a nice read, and still doesn't have a perfect 9 answer in terms of DPS. Like, the slime is probably the best,
Yeah.
but
And Widderson's
you
going to
can
have a
kind
pretty
of,
big send there, actually. Like, he should be able to get an ogre in income here, especially with these resends making the wave a bit longer.
yeah. It could be a time to dig for a reroll here. I wouldn't hate that. Maybe find like
That's
a
a good
true
call.
answer, like a gate or something.
I mean, it's Drachir, right? If he wants a gate for wave 9, he's going to have a gate for wave 9.
Yeah, he just needs to
Press the
look
button.
deep into Jules' soul,
Oh,
and
and
oh,
Kingdanzz is
oh,
leaking to this 140 send despite having
it's kind of
925 value, but that's kind of good for him, honestly. It's a pro leak, and Widderson has a ton of Mythium stored.
yeah. The thing is, he is forced to send because Lucy is oil, or is he? Okay, yeah. I was gonna say Lucy has like 180, could be a pretty big send onto Witter himself, so he
Uh,
needs to protect it. And
and
it is just gonna be a disciple and maybe some blobs, or what's the plan here?
he goes
A
for a
second
second
boar.
boar. I mean, sure, he's got tank, but like you were saying, where's his damage, Ofma?
Yeah, the ogre is gonna have a feast, I guess. I mean, he has a good amount of AoE between the boars and the aqua, I guess. If there's no hermit, this could be quite good, and it's just gonna be a brute added. So we'll see. I mean, the problem with this obviously is that he's weak on 10 now.
Now, there's a 220 send there for Widderson. He's going to be pretty fine against that, I'm sure. It's only income and regen. But Drachir's the lane we need to watch. He receives this 260 Mythium. It's an Ogre and a Brute. He did have 2
I mean, it looks
boars.
like he's killing everything besides the
Besides the Ogre?
ogre. Yeah?
Wow. I mean, sure, he's got some value there. 1205 value for Drachir. But yeah, a very, very good performance nonetheless. He's leaking only the Ogre, and that with nearly half HP. 25 gold shot down, though. That kind of sucks. Just before Widderson's Castle Power Spike kicks in, he's very happy to get that 25 gold.
Yeah, it's the famous castle strategy. You just are lower on the power score because you're castle, and then you farm a quick shutdown. It can definitely get you a little bit closer back in the game. I think that the first one to watch is definitely King still being in the game. Obviously, Drachir is miles ahead, but it's
Widderson
not that.
resending here, by the way. This is an interesting one because Drachir, before he dropped this Disciple, is looking absolutely garbage on wave 10. And he's on fire
still
again.
Be donating another 25.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Like, I think Widderson resends here, and he does full send because he sees Drachir looks really weak, and he just wants that 25 gold shutdown. Again, another shutdown before his Castle Power Spike kicks in would be amazing for Widderson here.
Yeah, I mean, double boar is just some of the most uninspiring stuff, but the Disciple definitely is what he needed here. And the Slime Mommy's actually going to get off her passive, and this maybe buys enough time?
It's going to be close, because the boss is about to start hitting the Disciple. You don't think so?
Maybe if the Fire Archer had tanked? Honestly, if he sold the Fire Archer for like another blob or something, maybe it was enough time.
Yeah.
But
and
he was also 100 HP away, so...
Widderson, who did have that slower early game that we talked about, he's now on par with all the others. His Castle Power Spike kicks in. He's been able to farm 50 gold shutdown now from Drachir over the last 2 waves. I think, you know, the game was looking a bit shaky there in the early game, but now, with those shutdowns, it feels pretty much neck and neck.
Basically creditor for everyone besides Lucy, because she's actually getting a big send here. So... the slight advantage if you want to talk about who can generate value from creditor in this game, but it's gonna be a long save, that's for sure, with triple creditor and castle involved. Everyone is on.
See the one player not going for that creditor, and actually she's showing that she isn't as well. She just places the villain there on her Sakura. I mean, sure, she's going to be able to hold here. This was a big send from Kingdanzz, so I can understand why she didn't feel able to take the creditor. But because of that, I mean, it's just economic damage against them, right? Kingdanzz and Widderson both with creditor, only Drachir on the side of the Updogs, so they are going to be able to get more gold than their opponents. That said, Villain is also a very powerful spell.
So, like, in terms of value, you're thinking about, can this Villain provide more than... well, King even loses a little bit of gold here, so...
yeah.
More than the creditor over 3 waves. Yeah. So... it's gonna be tough. Like, Villain obviously scales incredibly hard. So perhaps if this game goes super late, then the Villain will be generating more value. But it comes down to what kind of calls can you make with this creditor, because if you can outsave your opponents, then you know that's a job well done. But
Yeah,
outsaving Drakir at this point is going to be tough for sure.
really tough.
I mean, King is doing his best. Like he's one more worker, similar income. He's just way lower on value.
He is lower on value, but he's playing Chaos, and like you can never rule out a Chaos player in the late game. They just if they high roll, the Chaos player pretty much always has the best late game roll.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how lucky he is.
I mean, his role is shaping up quite nicely already at APS on Halo and LOD. So he just needs to find some quality tanks. That looks like about the only thing he's missing. And he did find Budman, which is about as good as you can get.
He actually upgrades a Bounty Hunter here on wave 13, so I guess he's aiming towards having 2 Kingpins on 14, where he's otherwise looking pretty shaky.
And looks like another creditor opportunity for everyone. Oh, Drachir actually
These builds
worried
are
about
looking
Ascent.
really similar, actually. We've got Boar Disciple for Drachir, we've got Sakura Disciple for Lucy. Okay, let's ignore the Chaos player for now. Then we have another Sakura Disciple build here for Widderson, so it's a little bit, you know, they're going to have the same weak waves, they're going to have the same strong waves. This is going to make for a really interesting game, and it might just come down to Kingdanz's Chaos rolls.
Something to note is that Drachir didn't actually go for a creditor there. Was a little worried since obviously he has 2 boars, or 3 boars now. So a little more value generated for King and Widder. That's something to note. And they're going to go just income here, it looks like.
It does.
I mean, obviously you can't leak Drachir.
It does feel like the Updogs are playing a bit scared in this series, right? We saw in the previous game they kind of jumped the gun a bit too soon, sent Income King on 13, gave a free ride to King and Widder. And this game as well, with Drachir not shifting his Creditor Gold there on wave 13, it's just the fear seems to be kicking in, right? And as a result, they're falling behind.
Yeah, and it's not... The Jewel's still favoring them for sure. And it's going to come down to how much Lucy leaks here, because she's definitely very weak here, and she's actually getting a real send from Kingdanzz.
Yeah. But Drachir's going to be very happy with this income send here. There was a last-minute Hermit there from Widderson, but with Drachir's value, he's going to be very fine. So let's have a quick look at Lucy's lane. How is she doing? The villain Sakura does make quick work of one of the ogres, but it dies very soon after. The Disciple build, there's no Starcaller upgraded here, so none of them enjoying the mana boost. But yeah, a pretty decent hold there from Lucy. I say pretty decent, 91%.
To be fair, the Cannoneer is going to mess that up.
Yeah. And Drachir, he's going to be able to fully cover that with his Starcaller Disciple Circle all alive in the mid. And they held their Mythium off.
Yeah, I suspect it's just 16? And pray that King doesn't roll Pyro or Flower?
I mean, he is Chaos, so it's almost guaranteed to roll both Pyro and Flower for wave 16.
Yeah, I see Drachir pushed quite a bit, so he's not playing like 300 over or anything here, so it's probably just 16.
Alright, we have...
And then after that is tricky, though.
They must be feeling the pressure now for Kingdanzz and Widderson, but Widderson, he's over 4k value when he finishes building.
Yeah, it's definitely the Sakura generation is quite strong at this point. I mean, it's basically like a free investment, if you will. Like it's like sort of value. For sure.
And Kingdanzz, what do we see in his Chaos role here for wave 16?
Absolute beast. Pyro, Yuzora.
What a machine.
I mean, it's a huge player gap.
It's a massive send, though. This is 1k plus from both Drachir and Lucy on wave 16, even with their overwhelming value, even with the Pyro roll here from Kingdanzz, very skillful, by the way. This is a big send.
Not even go for it. I would imagine he still wants it because he has this MPS to take advantage with it.
Yeah.
But to be honest, he still has a split. Oh well, he's fixing that.
He could even sell the split, honestly, and just put it all into Pyros. Like, you're kind of all in against holding this 1k send, right?
Yeah, I think that's quite important. We'll see how many King spells they can get. They have like a decent amount of workers, and King has the rest of the spells. So that's the important thing is to live here.
Yeah. He
And
only
then
has
after
2
that,
pyros though. Both players decently
no
undervalued.
mole, no hermit. So
No mole
just
hermit,
assuming
yeah.
that king is not gonna hit it, and the full range is still good against the pyros, right? It's
That is
the
a
fastest
lot
speed.
of frogs though. That's a lot of frogs, Ofma.
The wave is getting completely destroyed between the Hades and the
Yeah.
pyro, though. It is gonna be a lot of frogs to the king, though, like you mentioned.
Widderson is leaking pretty hard though, 133% there. Kingdanz's doing extremely well, killed the entire wave, even killed a few frogs. Still a 140% leak just because of the value in those frogs. But they're going to live here, right? With 95%, with full king spell upgrade. This
You would
spell
imagine
just
so.
deletes the froggos.
Yeah.
Still taking a ton of damage though.
Yeah, but now the game gets interesting, right? What kind of lines are the players seeing? Like, look at the gold on Drach and Lucy. They are so
Yeah.
overbuilt if they want to be, but they
so
have to
much
find the
gold.
right wave to end on.
I mean, let's have a look at the build, right? Because you can't really talk about the Chaos player because you just never know what they're going to have. He does have one Halo with an MPS aura there, so could be pretty strong on, say, wave 20, which might be what Drachir and Lucy are angling towards. Kind of the fact that Drachir and Lucy aren't full pushing when they have 1 billion gold each and they're both way over value, it kind of suggests to me that maybe they want to go straight wave 20.
Yeah, 20 looks promising. I'm just like thinking about how much value Drachir will be on and whether. When we talk about value, I'm talking about Drachir's value, but actually King is gonna be also like close to his value.
Yeah.
And with, I mean, Drachir's late game role is insane too. Like,
But even
I
without
wonder-
pushing though, Drachir and Lucy have a pretty big worker lead. And yeah,
Yeah,
like, just look
their
at the
sends are
values
gonna
now.
be huge,
Drachir's
yeah.
the only, well, Drachir and Lucy both overvalue actually when they finish building, and Widderson and Kingdanz's both under. Actually,
they're
no,
actually- I think
Widderson's
they're-
ahead.
yeah, they're both like close to. Widder's like 500 over, King's like 200 over if he
Yeah.
wants the full build. And looks like King is already building for 20, by the way.
That's a good call, yeah.
Yeah, I think he suspected, just looking at his and Widder's values, that Widder's build really, yeah, I would say 20 is probably the first weakness, right? You have like White Main Havens for 19.
Ofma, it's wave 18 and all 4 players are overvalued.
Yeah, this is some pristine Legion gameplay, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I mean, we suspected something like this, seeing the income values on 11 and seeing Creditor, and then the fact that Widder chooses to income King even on 14, like, there is a lot of gold in this game.
Yeah, and all 4 players holding their nerve. There is no Mythium spent on wave 19. It might just come down to who has the better
See
wave
what the
20
wave
build.
they build for, because King just rolled OT. He's gonna have a super OT Badger if he wants it.
Holy moly. And that does look like that's what he's going for. He places the Grawl here. It is offset, so yeah, he will be able to get that Badger if that's what he wants. All he needs to do is sell this Buckler, and the Badger takes the buffs.
Yeah. Could be pretty nice for him. And he has that MPS Halo, has a Daphne like we mentioned. I don't think Widder can hold 20 though. He is going for some cats, but his it's just a little less inspiring in terms of tank value. But I mean, he does have Star Callers. Let's not count him out. He has good damage.
And Phoenix is pretty bad on 20 as well, right? Like, the only time I've seen a
Ooh,
Phoenix
here we
be
go.
good is when it somehow tanks the range sends, but not the boss.
Yeah, the Ghost Knight salesman himself, getting rid of all of his wares.
Okay, that's a lot of Ghost Knights coming out from Drachir and Lucy. If we have a look at King and Widder, I mean, the Daphne and the Ark of Justice are going to kill a Ghost Knight pretty damn quickly, though.
He rolled Phaedos like a beast.
What an absolute chaos god this man is. Holy moly, why is Chaos still in tournament mode? Getting the Fatalizers here for wave 20.
Why isn't he putting it on the... He had it on the Butcher, and now he's had it off the Butcher? What's he doing with this spot?
I mean, the White Mane Aura is probably more value, I
Oh,
think.
there's a White Man Aura.
Yeah.
I totally missed that, yeah.
The
That
White
is
Mane's
definitely
pretty
better.
good.
I mean, I have no idea what's gonna happen. These sends are just huge, and everyone is... Okay, like, everyone is yellow value, which on 20 usually means you could hold.
Yeah. The sends are quite a lot bigger for King and Widderson. There's 1,400 for King, 1,200 for Widderson, and there's a lot less going into the lanes of Drachir and Lucy. I think Drachir should just hold. He does kill the Shaman there with the splash from the Aquas.
I mean, the villain's coming into effect now.
Yeah, villain.
It's not going to be enough, it looks like, but...
Lucy will leak, but Drachir is holding there.
Has all his damage still up.
Kingdanzz, despite rolling the Fatalizer, he leaks. Widderson leaks as well. And this looks like game number 3 going the way of the Updogs for fun, ladies and gentlemen. Well played, Drachir and Lucy.
Victory.
Wow, that's a different type of game. That was a really long late game that I think King and Widder even wanted from the start, right? Picking Castle and Chaos, and yet Drachir and Lucy were still able to build up an early game advantage and convert it.
According to Jules, they were ahead for the entire game. There was never a point where they had less than a 51% chance to win the game, other than Wave 1. So yeah, pretty nicely played by these guys. And I mean, they took very minor King damage on Wave 7, and I think that was the only time anything ever reached the King of Drachir and Lucy. And because of their regen, they already had 100% HP again going into the late game. And man, with Drachir's build, with Drachir's value, he was able to hold the... I mean, to be fair, he did also get a small ascend. But yeah, Drachir easily putting Lucy on his shoulders there. Game number 3 in the bag. And man, what an exciting game, Ofma. I think that's the first Wave 20 that we've seen in the whole tournament, actually, this month.
Yeah, actually, I saw in the match history, the first series between Drachir and Lucy and No Balls, No Style, it went to 21, actually.
Right.
With I think No Style or No Balls, one of them holding 20, and then winning on 21. Like, I could not believe it when I looked at the match history, to be honest, because those guys love their early finishes. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, they're very all in, aren't they? The No Style, No Balls duo. They tend to starve insanely much in the early game, and then the fact that they can make it to Wave 21 is pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah, I think that this game is definitely a rarity, or this type of game.
Yeah. But really fun to watch, actually. Really fun to see how the builds develop from all 4 players. And pretty nail-biting, actually. Kingdanzz and Widderson, they put up a really good fight, actually, because I think they were behind from quite early on. And to make it, let's be honest, pretty close, although the way that Drachir just held this Wave 20 might kind of make that seem like it wasn't. But honestly, this was a really close game. Like, one false move from Drachir and Lucy, if they just felt pressured like they did in Game 2, went for an income send or something like that on Wave 18, 19, something, they almost certainly lose the game, right? So it's a really interesting way to see this game progress all the way to Wave 20, and a very well-deserved victory there for the Updogs.
Yeah, and it seemed like the game was really out of hand with Drachir's 14 workers, but Widder did find a way to net the shutdown on 9 and 10, which was very, very big in terms of giving them like 100 gold back into the game, and then setting up his castle and Sakura scaling. That made the game like like you said, pretty competitive. So let's see if we can... I wonder if they'll go for the same sort of mastermind options if we see favorable Legion spells for it, or they're a little scared off of giving Drachir too much room to play.
And it looks like Kingdanzz and Widderson have opted for the same send order as the previous, with Drachir going into Kingdanzz and Lucy going into Widderson. So it seems both sides are comfortable with the status quo. They don't feel like there's much advantage to be had by swapping the send order. And man, I mean, come on, it's game number 4 now. We do remember, we do want the best of 5. So this is Abrasiert's turn to win, yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
They must have checked the script, right?
Yeah, 100%, dude, 100%. All right, guys, enough chatter. Game number 4, here it is.
All right. See, Greed from Drachir. What does Lucy have left? Cartel. Okay, that's right. She did Castle the first game. And they both have Pixie, but it's not the right mastermind. Everyone has Sakura if they want it.
Well, and Agreed there from Kingdanzz. So just going for very, very stable, very kind of early game, solid play styles there on both teams. And interesting to see who does it better.
Yeah, I think I would expect Lucy to play Casket Seedling into reverse Sakura. Pixie on 4, Sakura on 5.
Yep,
I
see
know
it.
she really likes that opener, and it's quite strong, especially if you don't know what's coming. And here, maybe his best option is to play around this Shadow Dancer, but it's not too inspiring of a role otherwise. Mostly early game focused units. Like 8-guard Rats is really nice. Maybe he'll just play to get some enabling going.
Yeah. All right. I mean, the roles are looking pretty solid on both teams. I really like Widderson's role, actually.
Yeah.
He's kind of spoiled for choice. He's got Flying Archer, but I think because of his backline units, you probably just take APS because the APS works on the Archer and his melee units. And yeah, he does go for that APS there. He's
Oh,
going
just
for a
goes
Sakura
Sakura.
again. And so is Lucy again.
Wow.
Well, we saw this work out for Lucy in the previous game. Let's see if Widderson can reverse his fortunes here.
Nice. I like that. I mean, we meet again, says Lucy.
Very nice. Double Sakura opener. Let's see if this works out again for Lucy, or can Widderson shake those hips well enough?
Yeah, I mean, the difference this time being he's Cartel as well, so they're literally the same entity. Like, if you look at everything about them, it's exactly the same so far. Obviously, it changes once they have to build other units, but... And Risky King going for that King up again, yeah.
Yeah, so
sticking to his game plan.
This definitely seems like King's preferred strategy into a Sakura. He's not trying to leak it with DTs or anything like that on 3 and 4. He's just saying, okay, you've got your slow opener. It's going to be safe. I'm just going to take my income then.
Yep.
Alright, Widderson going for his income send. I probably expect to see the same from Drachir and Lucy as well.
Yeah, I would imagine everyone is just going to take their income and run.
Looks like, yes. And Drachir, he's been able to hunt 2 rats on both Wave 1, Wave 2, and Wave 3 now as well. He's going to get away with it as well because Widderson can send 2 snails, though with 225 value, I think Drachir's going to be okay. He might leak small.
Yeah, I think with good aggro, he should be fine. If his Skate Guard gets that second summon, then it's all over, obviously. But Lucy elected to save, actually.
And
Widder
Drachir
went for
actually
this...
full sent here. That's an interesting one, because I think he's got very little chance of leaking the casket consort from Kingdanzz here.
You have to catch them greeting very hard, but the consort did just face tank.
It did, but the casket
the
is
lizard
living.
get through, maybe?
Oh, how is this spell going to line up? It does get the spell off, but it was just too slow. That's a 47% leak there from on-value Kingdanzz. Well, I say on-value. He's actually a little bit under. Widderson is able to clean this up. This is some more stacks with his angler. He's kind of happy with that, honestly.
Yeah, something to note is that Widder actually greeted, like, I'm pretty sure if you build just angler and you get 60, you leak. Your Sakura dies because you don't have the split.
Yep.
But knowing that it's Sakura sending him, he's able to take a little more liberty with how he builds.
Alright, and Kingdanzz, he is adding a buckler here, so maybe feeling he doesn't want to be too risky on wave 4, that I think he could have risked it, right? He's looking really good here with that consort.
Yeah, to be fair, it's always tough to judge exactly how much rats can send you.
Yeah.
And perhaps just wanted to play it a little safer, because definitely the type of unit that you leak the whole wave or you hold, right?
Yeah.
So
now both Sakura players receive a double DT send here on 4, and Lucy it looks like is holding easily. Widderson, he's holding as well. Okay, so matching sends, matching holds for the Sakura players, matching value, matching income. They're neck and neck. Yeah.
And Drachir actually got as well.
Oh, this never kills Lucy Sakura though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, she's fine.
Fortunately, these two Sakuras this time will be able to stay safe. And Drachir is just spamming income pretty much.
He is. He's kind of feeding Kingdanzz, and as a result, 7 workers on Danzz. He's got nice income, but Drachir is leading the pack there. Like, if we just look at the Mythium generated, Drachir has, like, nearly 20 or more than 20 more Mythium than anybody else in the game, really showing that even after the nerfs, double pack rat opener can just generate insane amounts of myth in the early game.
Yeah, for sure, and he's going to be very happy getting this resend because he's minus 20, right? So
Yeah.
the perfect reads from Drachir so far, and like you mentioned, that Mythium advantage from the rats is going to be huge once he converts it all into income.
Yep. Now we have Lucy and Kingdanzz both holding their Mythium. They have 80 now. Drachir with 60 as well, though. Like, he's doing pretty fine. There is another income resend from King into Lucy here on wave 6, though I think she's going to be just fine there with this value. And if anything, she's going to be really happy that King doesn't have that much extra Mythium to send her on wave 7.
Yeah, something to note is that Lucy is actually just one worker ahead of Widder, opting to just overpush a bit.
Yep.
Compared to Widder, who's more concerned about protecting his Sakura and scaling up that way.
Yeah, he has the canopy here, so he's kind of making sure he's strong on both wave 6 and wave 7, which is pretty solid. And the 100 send here into Lucy. I mean, Kingdanzz, he even sent the king upright, so he's not trying to leak Lucy. He's just trying to snowball himself into the late game.
Yeah, and Lucy is definitely the type of person who prefers to play Sakura and just abusing that the early game power spike after you get your first send where you can just push 1 trillion workers. And you can see she really does not care too much about holding. She's undervalued on Sakura's weakest wave. She can't even get this casket upgrade until she sells Filter Split. She's gonna do, but I mean, she has the right read. There's no send coming.
She would. I mean, it's more like she doesn't care, right? Because Drachir is looking really strong here, so she's kind of thinking it's fine if I lose a Sakura stack. I want the workers.
How does this mold do against a full Iron Maiden, especially with some healing behind it? Like I feel like it's a little
I think
optimistic.
It's kind of rough to try and leak Kingdanzz here. And yeah, King and Widderson, they both hold their Mythium. They weren't feeling scared here. We'll have to find out now
Great
if
aggro.
their confidence was rewarded or not. The Sakura for Widderson is
brutes, it looks
going
like.
down, yeah, but barely. Not before
And
cleaning
he's
up
gonna
most of the
hold,
wave.
yeah.
That's a hold on Widderson. And Kingdanzz, I mean, he's
Yeah, he's
leaking,
leaking
but
the mold,
very
but-
small. Very small.
Yeah, and I think Widder just had. I mean, he's +5 for one thing, but his aggro was really, really good. Like perfect split tanking. He did snipe both brutes, to be fair. Like
He did.
that's something, but still a really nice hold by him. And Lucy is still 12 workers though, so it's not like there was no advantage generated.
And Kingdanzz and Widderson just opting for an income send here on wave 8. We'll have to see how Lucy and Drachir deal with this. There is a Mudman coming out from Lucy, and of course the final stack on the Maiden. Even placing a Seedling here to make sure that Sakura stays alive against the wave. I think that's pretty solid. And Drachir actually getting his Shadow Dancer out here on wave number 8.
And without hunting, he's gonna be perfectly fine, I imagine. On value, his Daphne might die, but should be enough other units where it doesn't matter too much.
Now, worth pointing out that Drachir has used his reroll already, so he won't be able to dig for something to pair with that Shadow Dancer, like, you know, your APS, your Ocean Templar, Dark Mage, anything like that. He can't roll into proper synergy for it, and the unit by itself, without buffs, is nowhere near as scary as it is when it is paired with something like that.
Yeah, and they do both manage to hold on, it looks like, or how's going on here in Drakir's lane?
From Drachir?
It looks like the Dancer died just before some other units, so...
The Gate
what's going
Guard
on here?
seems to be smurfing the wave, actually.
Can it finish off one more?
I think it definitely kills one more. I don't know about the second. The doggo is
I mean, he's
coming
getting
out.
another dog. I mean, this is a battle to the death.
Yeah.
One-on-one, single combat. But looks like the snake is just a little too
The
much.
snake is going to win the fight, but this is a really long wave here. While
Lucy's on 15 workers.
Lucy's on 15 workers. They've got some decent Mythium here. Did they send here? Yeah, only a couple of DTs, though.
They could go for a cheeky resend.
Oh,
but
okay,
I
there's
think
an
they're
income
electing to go 10.
resend from King and Widderson, but Drachir and Lucy, this might be the first real advantage now, because I assume they both hold the income sends, and meanwhile they're going to have a lot of pressure against Kingdanzz and Widderson.
I worry about Drachir if he hunts. just because his dancer is a little exposed, but it's not going to be a full send, I think, from Witter, so he should be okay.
Yeah, kind of interesting that his Shadow Dancer is in column 2 like that, because it does make it way more likely to die, right?
Yeah, especially with no buffs of any sort. Like, if he had healing on it or something like that, like Butcher OT, then it kind of makes a little more sense to get it more involved as a tank. But maybe that's how he envisions it already as a tank, since he doesn't really have too much support for it to begin with.
Yeah, reasonable. Yeah,
and it is his
holding
highest
Income
end
Resend,
fortified unit.
Lucy is also holding her Income King Send. They do go for that
And,
Wave
wow.
10 Send. Okay, that's interesting.
The GK Merchant is open for business again.
Oh, Lucy, she's
almost
close,
had a
but she
ram.
doesn't get a ram. Yeah, I think a Siege Ram would have been incredible against Widderson here, who almost
Witter has a
certainly...
hard-
Yeah, he's got a
Can't
tough
get
choice
both,
to
right?
make. You can't get both.
Probably
he goes
the
for
Kingpin,
the
right?
Kingpin, okay.
Just because the difference between a Kingpin and a Bounty is so big.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's got the APS already. I think this is probably correct, and
That's a
he
good
can build
choice.
like a.
And
I
the
think
gold
just sell
is
this
perfect
and double
as well.
buckler, right? That's probably a bit stronger for this specific wave.
Yeah, I mean the
But-
Shroom is on the APS as well. It's
It does get some value
fine.
there for sure. I would imagine they leak still though, because
these are
this is
big
360.
And the Ghost
And
Knight
what-
is
what is this
so
aggro?
good against Kingdanzz, by the way.
Yeah, just no answer at all.
Really
I mean,
difficult. He does
King-
kill it, but not before like his entire front line is dead, pretty much.
And Witter had some very strange aggro where everything ended up going left because the seedling died too fast, and
Right.
he focused the ogre first, which is not bad
Ooh.
since he got the gold, but okay.
Lucy does give a shutdown here, 25 gold, so that's something. But these guys are
But
taking
look at the
big
hermit healing
king
the
damage
bosses
here.
up. The two
Wow.
bosses are just snacking away.
Yeah. The first one
And
just now goes down, but not
think
before
it's
bringing Abrasiert's king
Savior
down
time?
to 43% HP. Okay.
I mean,
There is
the thing is,
Savior.
Savior is nice, but you lose out on Protector, which could all. I mean, not that good for King, but could have been decent for Witter. We'll see what they go for. Maybe they don't even feel like they need it. The thing is,
Widderson
Savior
still
does.
has his reroll available, by the way. The only player who does.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe he just rerolls and tries to see if he can find a Protector unit.
Yeah, Phoenix would maybe be pretty good in this role with APS Archer. And everyone goes Protector. Well, King hasn't chosen yet.
Maybe King is going for the Savior. The fact that he's waiting so long does suggest he wants to go for that last second Savior to me.
Yeah, and I think it's fine. He doesn't have a great Protector user.
Yeah, there it is. There's the Savior from
And
King.
getting your King... I think they should have done even a regen or two. Just because we saw how much it mattered for Drach and Lucy earlier. So
Number 1, yeah.
yeah, I think it can be definitely very important right now with Tenacity to get your King out of one-shottable range.
Absolutely, yes.
And I wonder what all these players are looking at. I mean, 13 looks the most logical. I think King Witter is rerolling right now. See if he can dig for something.
What does he find?
Phoenix, Hades, anything like that.
Doomsday.
Okay, Doomsday.
Very
base.
good
Yep,
answer.
Sure.
Very good answer for Widderson there. He has the APS pairing as well. That's almost the perfect unit. Like, Phoenix would have been up there as well, but he already has magic damage with the Sakura, so I really like the Doomsday pickup here for Widderson.
Yeah, it does leave him a little more vulnerable on 15, but I'm not sure if we're gonna see 15 looking at what's happening here. Like, it's hard to say. I feel like they could definitely skip next. Drach and Lucy can, I mean.
I mean,
they
with
should...
with Kingdanzz already having a Doomsday and Widderson showing his here, like maybe if he
Yeah.
went for a full skip, they would have sent 13 anyway. But with both players having Doomsday potential, I don't think Drachir and Lucy are going to send here. And if they do, I think it'll be income. But they proved me wrong immediately. That Ghost Knight Merchant back in action.
I think the thing is the double GK, they're getting to the double GK threshold, and against double GK, you basically completely nullify the unit. But it does have APS, which is different from just the raw Doomsday.
Yeah.
So King is being on value here. See how he does. He, again, like we said, he can't kill GK particularly fast, but
Neither can Widderson. Like, his only good damage against the GK is
well,
one
him having
Kingpin.
Doomsday would probably help.
Yeah. Okay. I think
I think
Widderson.
he's doomed.
I think he's doomed. Yeah. This is
I
looking
mean, to be
pretty
fair,
spicy.
he's less weak against double GK because he doesn't have a Doomsday invested, but
Yeah, that's
still
true.
doesn't mean
but
he
I
has
mean,
anything great versus the wave then, and his Sakura dies here.
he built a canopy
And-
instead of a Doomsday, which is also not good against GKs.
I mean, King managed to kill half the wave, and
He's
his
doing
Doomsday is still full
really
HP.
well. He's going to kill at least one more. Widderson
In
does
this-
leak 73%. They have got good King attack upgrades.
Yeah, that's not bad, and I think the problem is if they match 15 here, like if they go 15 with Drachir and Lucy, they might lose the race there, because King is exceptional there, but the Doomsday
they are.
still isn't that good.
They are surviving, but only with a sliver of HP remaining.
Yeah, and we are gonna see a 15 match from both teams. Probably we're gonna see this situation where King and Widder are lower value, but they're sending way more. And it's tough to say who wins that kind of race. But the thing is, one team is at 100 HP. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to die.
It is, but Kingdanzz and Widderson have a lot of Mythium stored up here.
Yeah, and 15 is a wave where you could theoretically one-shot someone, but Lucy's like, what? Is she just gonna be on value with Hades and
Seems so,
Sakura
yeah,
and
with the Hades as well.
Tree of Life Canopies?
Yeah, this is looking.
It's not
pretty
OT,
rough.
but
This is looking pretty rough for the
Protector as
Abrasiert
well?
boys.
I mean, they cannot skip. Like I'm looking at their values, and they'll be barely at the recommended. So
They
here
do
comes
not skip, but
Kraken.
Drachir and Lucy,
Okay,
they
income
know
king.
they're in the lead. They're not even going to try and race it here. They're just going for income and king, guaranteeing pretty much that they can't
Yeah,
die here on wave 15.
I think they know that there's no 18 answer for either King or Widder, and they're content with living and winning on 18. And okay, I lied. I thought Lucy would be on value, but looks like Mythium is a bit too strong. We're 400 under with Protector, to be fair, and some exceptional units, to be honest. Like even this Lioness 5 stacks, like that's pretty huge. And Drac obviously has nothing really.
Yeah. They are going to have a
Yeah.
fully upgraded king attack. They might even be able to squeeze in a spell or two.
And it's gonna be Ram and a
Sends a
bunch of
massive-
snails. Oh, double Kraken. Well, that's the threshold
that's a
where
pretty
Hades
good
starts to have
Hades
some
answer.
trouble.
But with all of
thing
the
is, these
impact damage
Canopies-
behind it, yeah, the Krakens are actually going down fairly quickly
Wait
in
a
Lucian
second.
lane.
How long can these Canopies live without a Needler hitting them?
Apparently infinitely.
Oh,
Okay, they do now just go down, but
but
Lucy's
look how
holding.
2 dragons and a Sakura.
And sure, Drachir's leaking there, 102%, 25 gold shutdown,
Well.
but Lucy's fully holding. With
There it is.
decent value left alive in the mid.
Yeah, and it looks like the second Kraken, we thought it would be enough to stall, but
Yeah.
these Tree of Life Canopies, there's no answer for them, and I mean, this is completely won the game, I feel like.
I mean,
That
yeah,
was-
right? This was a very
was the only
all-in play
chance.
from Kingdanzz and Widderson, and they're getting some damage, but it's nowhere
Oh,
near what they
it's
needed
the double
here.
Sui. It's the double Sui.
Oh, double Sui.
It's the only chance. They're gonna double Sui for 16 or for 17. Sorry.
They're actually building.
Okay, not a full Sui.
They're pushing hard, but not full Sui, yeah.
If only. Well, Drachir hasn't pushed a worker, so he's chilling.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, they can also just send. Well, I
Drachir's
mean, they
plus
don't want to send
200
17 at
here,
all.
right? Yeah.
Okay, what's Widder going for here? He's shifting 400 to Pro League, like to beta set. What's the idea? I mean, like you don't want them to send here necessarily, but Pro Leaguing when you're this pushed maybe is good enough.
I don't know. It's an interesting one because I feel like if Widderson pro leaks here, then Drachir and Lucy definitely send on 17, where they might skip otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at Widder's lane and I'm looking at King's lane, I feel like I'm seeing something
Yeah,
strange.
you can tell they've full pushed, right? Either that or they're going for a really good bait.
Yeah,
But no,
and
Drachir
here it
and Lucy,
comes.
they make the correct read. They're going for a race here on wave 17, and with their value advantage, I think this race is only going one way, Ofma.
Yeah, and the thing is, they barely need to leak them at all. And look how far under, like King and Witter. Okay, Witter has like a god roll for this wave, and same with King. Is all his units are very strong, but
But they're so
the
undervalued.
value, right?
Yeah. So undervalued. Minus 800 on King. About the same on Widderson when he finished his building as well. Man.
Lucy going for some 5-stack lionesses.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Drachir and Lucy are both nearly on value, right? With 5k plus on each of them. This is looking really rough for Abrasiert.
Yeah, they're on value with strong units and protector. To be fair, they're getting some big sends, but the double VK threshold is basically
I think with the
what they
value
want to
they
hit.
have, this is really bad for Abrasiert. Yeah. Widderson is going down very quickly there. Kingdanzz, he's going down.
And it's another full hold from Lucy, or what's going on here?
It's close. The Hades is still alive.
It's a full hold for Drachir, it looks like.
Yeah, Widderson and Kingdanzz, they both leak. The leaks are small, but it's going to be enough. The
Wow.
Updogs, Ofma, no longer the underdogs, it seems. The Updogs are unstoppable. What a series.
What's up, dogs?
What is Updogs?
Victory.
GG, man. That is a very
impressed.
very convincing 3-1 victory there from the Updogs against Team Abrasiert. Man, Drachir and Lucy, these guys just seem insanely strong lately. Really well played.
I mean, the thing is, they even dropped the series yesterday, but I mean, looks like that's all they needed. They got the losses out of the way, and today they're just 2-0 in the semis, 3-1 in the finals. That's extremely, extremely impressive.
Yeah. And I really like that Kingdanzz and Widderson went for a play there on wave 13. You know, they tried to overbuild and hold the send and then have the pressure they needed for 15. But, I mean, with these big sends coming out from Drachir and Lucy, they needed more value than they had. Even though King leaked only really small, they went from 60% down to 15, and then the game just becomes really difficult for them.
Yeah, that's a very sharp call from Drachir and Lucy there for sure. Because it's a little mind game, right? King and Witter are weak on 15, so you try to undercut by going 14, and then so they can get undercut on 13, like we just saw.
Yeah.
So it's always tough making those choices. And Witter even tried to go for like a double layer read, right? He says, okay, King has 13, he's building, he's very strong there. I'm going to cover his 14 because he has chieftains now. He goes for the canopy and it just doesn't pay off, right? Because he gets the send on 13.
Yeah. And I mean, there were really big sends there on wave 15 against Drachir and Lucy, but with her regen canopies and that Hades dishing out the damage, Lucy was able to pretty comfortably hold there and even cover some of Drachir's leaks in the mid as well, and that just sealed the deal completely for these guys there, then able to have a very easy victory on wave 17. Although, it has to be said, Kingdanzz and Widderson did very well there against the sends. The leaks were very small, but with that sliver of King HP, that was all they needed to be. And that is your April Nova Cup champions, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Updogs.
Indeed.
All right, Ofma.
What's up, dog?